Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy my stories. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification icon so you never miss out. Now on with the stories.
I still can't believe it's been a year since I bought my dream home in a gated community with an HOA. I was hesitant at first, knowing that HOAs can be notorious for being strict and controlling, but the location and amenities were perfect for my family. I thought I had done my due diligence, researching the community and talking to neighbors before making the purchase. But little did I know, I was walking into a nightmare. Everything seemed fine for the first year. I got to know my neighbors, and we all seemed to get along. Well, except for one racist neighbor, but I dealt with that issue and moved on. The community was quiet, and the HOA seemed to be doing its job, maintaining the common areas and enforcing the rules. Or so I thought. Then, out of the blue, I received an email from the HOA about a month ago. The tone was casual, almost flippant, but the content was anything but. "Hey guys, just a heads up, we're being sued, but don't worry, it's not our fault." I was shocked. How could they keep this from us for so long? I immediately started digging, trying to find out more about the lawsuit and why the HOA was being so secretive. That's when I reached out to the guy who was suing the HOA. I was prepared for a biased perspective, but what I got was a mountain of evidence that left me speechless. There were voice recordings of board members admitting that the lawsuit was valid, documents showing retaliation attempts, and even perjury. It was like something out of a TV drama, not my quiet suburban community. As I delved deeper into the evidence, I realized that the lawsuit had been filed 2 months before I even bought my house. The HOA had known about it for almost a year, but they chose to keep it a secret from the community. The sellers of my house had no idea, so they couldn't disclose it to me. I felt betrayed, like I had been sold a bill of goods without being told the whole truth. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. As I started doing my own research, I discovered that the HOA was picking and choosing which rules to enforce, ignoring their fiduciary duty to the community. They were more concerned with keeping HOA fees low to attract new buyers than with maintaining the community's standards. It was a recipe for disaster, and I was stuck in the middle of it. I'm still fuming about it. I've put my entire life savings into this house, and now I'm worried about its value plummeting because of the HOA's mismanagement. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know I need to take action. I'm considering legal action, but I'm not sure where to start. One thing that really gets my blood boiling is that the former board president sold his house within a month of the lawsuit being filed. I know for a fact that he didn't disclose the lawsuit to the buyers. And yet, the board has continued to turn a blind eye, with members coming and going, but the current president remaining in power. It's like they're trying to cover up their mistakes and hope no one notices. I began attending the HOA meetings, hoping to get some answers and maybe rally some support from my neighbors. At the first meeting I attended, it became clear that the board wasn't used to being questioned. They seemed uncomfortable and evasive when I brought up the lawsuit. Other residents looked surprised, and a few even came up to me afterward, expressing their own concerns. It felt good to know I wasn't alone in this, but it also made me realize how much work needed to be done to get to the bottom of everything. I started talking to more neighbors, forming a small group of concerned residents who wanted transparency and accountability from the HOA. We began sharing information, compiling documents, and preparing to confront the board with our findings. It was exhausting but necessary work. The more we dug, the more we uncovered about the HOA's mismanagement and possible corruption. It was disheartening to see how deep the problems ran, but it also fueled my determination to fight for our community. The current HOA president, Mr. Thompson, was a particularly slippery character. He had a way of deflecting questions and downplaying issues that was infuriating. At one meeting, I directly asked him about the recordings and documents I had obtained. His response was dismissive, claiming that they were taken out of context and that the board was working in the community's best interest. But his vague answers and condescending tone only made me more suspicious. As the months went by, the tension in the community grew. More residents started attending the HOA meetings, demanding answers and expressing their frustrations. The board tried to maintain control, but it was clear that they were feeling the pressure. Mr. Thompson even started avoiding me, which I took as a sign that we were getting under his skin. Despite the mounting evidence and growing support from the community, the board continued to stonewall us. They refused to provide detailed financial records, ignored requests for transparency, and even tried to discredit some of the more vocal residents by spreading rumors. It was a classic case of power trying to silence dissent, but we weren't backing down. One night, after another frustrating HOA meeting, I received a knock on my door. It was one of the newer board members, Mrs. Lopez. She looked nervous and whispered that she needed to talk to me in private. We sat down in my living room, and she started to spill the beans. She told me that she had joined the board with good intentions but quickly realized how corrupt it was. She had seen firsthand how Mr. Thompson manipulated decisions, covered up mistakes, and retaliated against anyone who challenged him. Mrs. Lopez provided me with even more damning evidence, including emails and internal memos that painted a clear picture of the board's misconduct. She admitted that she was scared of the repercussions but couldn't stay silent any longer. Her bravery gave me a renewed sense of purpose. I knew we had to take our fight to the next level. With Mrs. Lopez's evidence in hand, our group of concerned residents decided it was time to seek legal advice. We pooled our resources and hired an attorney who specialized in HOA disputes. The attorney was shocked by the extent of the evidence we had gathered and agreed to take on our case. It was a relief to have professional support, but it also meant that things were about to get even more intense. The legal process was slow and arduous. The HOA's lawyers fought tooth and nail to dismiss our claims and protect the board members. There were moments when I felt overwhelmed and questioned whether it was worth all the stress and effort. But every time I looked at my home and thought about the future of our community, I knew we had to keep pushing forward. As the case gained traction, more residents came forward with their own stories of mistreatment and neglect by the HOA. It was heartbreaking to hear how many people had suffered in silence, afraid to speak out. But it also strengthened our resolve. We were fighting not just for ourselves, but for everyone who had been wronged by the corrupt board. Throughout this ordeal, I found solace in my family's support. My spouse and kids were my rock, reminding me why I was doing this in the first place. They deserved a safe, well-managed community, and I was determined to give them that, no matter the cost. As I sit here reflecting on the past year, I still can't believe how much has changed. What started as a dream home quickly turned into a battleground. But through it all, I've learned the importance of standing up for what's right, even when it's difficult. Our fight isn't over yet, and the outcome is still uncertain. But one thing is for sure, I won't let the HOA's incompetence ruin our community without a fight. I'm still trying to process everything, but I know I need to take a stand. I'm not sure what the outcome will be, but I'm determined to fight for my community and my home. I'll be keeping a close eye on the lawsuit and the HOA's actions, and I'll be ready to take action if necessary. This is my home, and I won't let the HOA's incompetence ruin it for me. I wake up every day wondering what new challenge or revelation will come our way. The fight for transparency and accountability is far from over, and the road ahead is uncertain. But with the support of my family and neighbors, I remain hopeful. We're united in our cause, and together, we'll continue to push for the truth and demand the change our community deserves. And so, the battle continues, with no end in sight, but a resolve stronger than ever to protect the place we call home. The HOA usually has to fill out a form for closing, and it specifically asks if there are any current lawsuits. Check your closing papers for that, or ask the closing attorneys. Edited to add, even during refinances the HOA gets asked this very question. The problem with suing your HOA is that you are in essence, suing yourself. I have some issues with mine and talked to a lawyer about them. She noted that you can take legal action, but the typical response is to raise fees and just carry on fighting with you. The simple logic is that you will run out of money before they will, and you're helping in part to fund their defense. If the board members are pricks, seems like they usually are, they can make your life miserable with violations and other stupid crap. I can't wait until the kids are grown, I'm effing out of here. These things are a goddamn plague on society. Depends on who was filling out the paperwork. If they have a management company, it's possible, albeit slim, they didn't know about it. Lying on the disclosure is a big no-no, but not everyone uses them. I still get pushback from closing attorneys who just want me to email them shit. I'm like, nah, you'll got to HOMEWISE and order it. That way, my name is on it and it's official. But if they're self-managed, God only knows. It's possible nobody reached out to the HOA to get information. Sometimes reagents don't want to deal with it and want to close and get commission, quick. So they just grab info from the seller, dues amount, bylaws, CC&Rs etc., and go that route. My HOA was in litigation for 5+ years, so none of us could sell unless it was a cash offer or VA. My boyfriend at the time is a real estate attorney and looked into and said it was 5 to 7 years and my HOA would lose. Sure enough, I made a big stink about it and they sent me a cease and desist BCI was such a bother. So I have 2 HOAs, master and my phase of the community, and between the 2 I pay over $700 per month. And will be for 15 years to pay off the construction issues and the legal fees. I feel the most bad for people who bought recently before it jumped. I bought 15 years ago, so my mortgage is low, but people who bought at the peak must be so pissed.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.